I'd love to leave loads of time at the end to have a conversation together, and always interested and honoured to hear people's responses to my work. So I thought that I would begin with a short extract from an essay that was written about my last body of work, and I chose it because I think it's a nice overview to introduce my work. In Emma Dexter's essay, "To Draw is to be Human," she offers a reading of Walter Benjamin's Painting and the Graphic Arts, a short text written in 1917, to conclude, with Benjamin, as others have too, that drawing exists at another level in the psyche than that, say, of painting. It is a locus for signs by which we map the physical world, but is also in itself the preeminent sign of being. Drawing, we remember, predates writing. Therefore, drawing is not a window onto the world, but a device for understanding our place in the universe. It is precisely in this way that Joanna's art proceeds. Her methodologies demonstrate a contemporary experimental approach to drawing, using a diverse range of materials and methods in an exploration of drawing as a medium, but always doing so in relation to thinking through our existence within a scene, our interrelationship with the physical world around us, the connectivity between all things and matter, as we might imagine exists between the tiniest cells in the human body to the electrons and neutrons making up the farthest of stars. For Joanna, this interconnectivity is sought out in the infinitesimal, and her art suggests a form of mapping, in part so that we might read her drawings rather than see them as representing the appearance of something which they are not. So my work has always originated in drawing. Up until 2010 I worked only two-dimensionally, making mixed media drawing and painting works, and it came to a time in my life around 2010 that I felt an urge to expand my way of making artwork, to expand my thinking around it, to expand the scale of it, and the dimensionality of it, and the materials and mediums that I use to make work. So I became really interested in contemporary drawing and the boundaries of drawing. So where's the point, for example, that drawing spills over into sculpture, or into painting, or into movement, or into performance and installation? And I looked a lot at the evolution of drawing over the past century, and became really excited about the possibilities for me within my work. So since then, my practice really has focused on expanding my ways of making drawing work, and it's explored the space in between drawing and sculpture, and drawing and painting, and more recently drawing and movement. So this piece began in the autumn of 2015. My intention with it was to create an immersive three-dimensional drawing within space that responded to the architecture of the space, and that invited the viewer to physically engage with it, navigating through it and engaging with time and space. The body of work previous to this, I had been looking a lot at pattern and visual complexity, and I had a series of drawings called Ordered Complexities, which evolved through taking a single, simple building block and repeating it again and again to intuitively grow a drawing. So there was a drawing with dots, repeated dots, drawing with repeated loops, repeated arcs, repeated small lines, and I was interested in almost like what grows in a petri dish, how this drawing might grow with this just simple set of rules of one motif, repeating it intuitively. So I think that this piece does definitely connect to that series of drawings, but it also quite directly in the beginning for me connected to Murmurations of Starlings. So I had become, I find Murmurations of Starlings both fascinating and very moving, and I had been looking at them alongside visual complexity, and it was the poetic quality of murmurations that I found very moving, but yet that visual poetic wonder comes about through a simple set of rules. Birds following the 7 birds closest to them and taking their cue from the birds closest to them, yet it creates this really phenomenal visual wonder, and one that is constantly changing, transforming, in flux, and for me it really kind of epitomizes impermanence. So in the beginning this piece very much, I suppose, gave me the idea, Murmurations gave me the idea initially, and I was invited by Galway Arts Centre to have a 2-week residency to create a site-responsive piece. So that's kind of unusual to get an opportunity in a gallery and an art centre to have this long lead-in time to create a piece within a space. So I began to, sorry, just looking at my cues. Yes, I began to think about the physical journey through the building and to visualise swarms and these suspended small tiny objects, and I was curious to see what would happen if I distilled the idea down to one organic kind of shape, a biomorphic shape, and repeated that thousands of times. I was curious to see, how its own algorithm would inform that and how the piece would evolve. So there was a certain amount of control and design to it, but there was a large dollop of chance, and randomness definitely spurred the piece on. And I knew, as I was visualising it, I knew it had to be monumental in scale, so I wanted to make a piece much larger than any other installation piece I had made before. But quite soon into starting to make the piece, the individual units became more like particles for me. I began to think of them as particles of energy and building blocks to something bigger. And I have been thinking a lot about living matter and how it's made up of building blocks, invisible to the naked eye, but they create these complex and myriad systems. And I was, over the years, become very aware of the idea of interrelationships and interconnectivity between all living matter. And we see this in ecology, how networks of communities support and engage with each other. This idea also is very integral to Buddhism, the idea of interdependence, that everything exists and depends on something else for its existence. So those are ideas that wove their way in, I think, to this piece of work. And another kind of concern or idea that comes up again and again in my work is duality. So I think of it as a pendulum that swings between 2 opposing things. And with this piece of work, we have order and chaos, movement and stillness, and chance and design, which I touched on earlier, and very obviously repetition and change. So, how repetition can evolve and transition from, referring to itself as a pattern, then feeding into the next passage, and how the pattern can change and how repetition can gradually become something else. So a large part of this piece of work was something new for me, in that I quite quickly realised I couldn't make it by myself. So I put a call out for help, and since 2015 about 200 people have worked on it with me. A lot of students, transition year students and art students, who came to my studio. I took it to Utah in autumn of 2016. I was doing a residency and some teaching work there, and hundreds of students worked on it with me there, and it came back in a big yellow suitcase all rolled up around tubes. So I like the idea that it holds the trace of many hands and hours of labour. And I thought a lot about the things that we consume and the things that we own, and the idea of mundane, repetitive labour and mass production became very much part of the making of this piece of work. Also, it recalled for me the idea of craft, of working with the hands. And that's something that has become more and more important to me in my practice. It's very much rooted in making and working with the process and responding to materials. And I value working with the hands very much partly as an antidote to the speed of today's world, the groundedness of making things with your hands, even digging earth, kneading dough. I think that it's really important for the human race on a larger scale to be connected with our hands and materials and making. It's another way of experiencing life and experiencing time. It's become a way for me to discover and understand life better. So my work definitely has become a way for me to make some sense of life in a larger scale, in a bigger conversation, and making is very much part of that inquiry, let's say. I thought about how we used to, as a human race, make things for everyday life, the objects that we needed, and how we were much more self-sufficient. We used to fix things and mend things, and the resourcefulness of that. And I like the idea of slowing down time and working with the hands. I think it's really important. And there was also the social aspect of working with 200 other people, which was something that, again, in the beginning, I didn't really think through very well. I actually just started threading particles by myself in my studio, but what transpired to be a very rich project and experience for me working with people of different ages, of different cultures. That they wouldn't have if I just had met these people on the street or in a pub or in somebody's home. And there was, a lot of meaning in that for me. So when I think of the piece, I think of the trace of all those experiences and the trace of the help that so many people gave along the way. And there's a few people in the audience who are one of those 200. So I'm going to give you thanks for that. And I think that's all that I kind of need to say from my point of view for now. But I'd love to have a chat.
So, any questions? I have a question.
Yeah.
Why felt?
Oh yes, felt. I discovered felt in about, what year were you born, Uillinn?
2008.
2008, about 2008. And for years I worked with it as a craft, learning the techniques of it, but I immediately fell in love with it for its tactile quality and its kind of transformative potential to transform. Like you start, this is the wet felting technique, which is a process that uses layers of uncarded wool, which are laid down in layers, and you use a process of agitation, warm soapy water and agitation to bind those fibres together. So if you can imagine every hair on a sheep, if you think of one individual hair, they have microfibres off it, and when warm soapy water and agitation is applied, these microfibres begin to catch onto each other and lock together. So what starts out as loose fluffy fibres becomes a piece of fabric, and it's the first type of fabric used by man, and it predates woven or spun fabric. and I really appreciate the lineage of that and the history of it. And I reached a point working with felt that I wanted to try and combine it into my studio practice. So it was kind of separate for years. I was working with it, making functional objects and teaching it quite a bit, and began to, I felt that I had a lot to explore in it as a material, began to want to explore it, kind of bring it into my studio practice of drawing, and so began to play with the possibilities of it form-wise and shape-wise. So I've made, this is the third installation piece I've made with felt. Yeah, and so for this piece, it had to be felt. It couldn't be a mass-produced man-made object suspended, it had to be a handmade object. One that I made as I cooked dinner. I used lots of offcuts of felt projects that I had done over the years and scraps, and tried to be as resourceful as I could. Some people started giving me woolen jumpers that I cut up and felted further with using the washing machine. So it kind of became quite entwined with my daily life, dyeing a batch of felt particles as I was cooking dinner or throwing on a load of them, to the point where my son Luca was like, "Oh, I keep finding particles of felt in my trouser pockets." Yeah.
And so the each of those particles is a microcosm of the whole piece.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, the one in the middle. Yeah.
And the colours, were the colours natural?
Well, they're dyed, so I knew I wanted it to be quite monochromatic. I didn't want colour to kind of seduce or overpower the piece. I guess I was thinking about distilling it right down, but I did want to, I love colour, and I did want to allow colour to be hinted at within the piece. So, every batch I dyed was slightly varied intensities of dye and intensities of black or grey, or I think I might have used dark brown. And so I liked that it transpired that you could see quite a bit of colour up close, where in the distance they look black, really, don't they?
You said you made other installations
yeah, they were the first two installation works I made. So the first two three-dimensional drawings, and they were very much an extension of my mark making and drawing work. The first one was very much playing with the possibilities of felt, so seeing how I could manipulate it, bend it, twist it, fold it, stitch it, refelt it, and the installation piece, I showed it in the RHA in 2013, high up in the atrium space, and there was, I think, about 1,200 small little felt forms, but they ranged from tiny to about that size, and they were pinned to the wall in an assemblage, and it was very colourful. It was called Everything and Everywhere, and yeah, it was very much me exploring what I could do with felt to almost give birth to the marks of my two-dimensional drawings. I really felt that it was a physical expansion of my mark making on paper. That's what that piece became about. And then the piece that followed was more of a kind of cerebral piece, and it was kind of a companion piece of the exhibition. And as I was saying, that I was looking at how drawing evolved over the last century, and I wanted to explore lines, so it was very much a three-dimensional line drawing. There was a corner and a platform built for it, and I rode meters and meters of lengths of felt of different shades and different thicknesses, and I used different kinds of threads as well to very much construct a three-dimensional drawing, and that was called Navigator, which kind of referred to the process of navigating the line and meandering with the line. So it was a more, I had worked with these colourful felt forms for years, and I came to wanting to not work with any more colour, so this piece was monochromatic as well, and quite geometric. And you can see them on my website. Yeah, JoannaKidney.com.
Installation represents chaos and, I don't know, was it tranquility? Which part in particular is the chaotic?
Yeah, well, it's not so much that it represents it for me, it's that it, I suppose, responds in a very intuitive way to the idea of order and chaos. So there's the order of this one little biomorphic shape repeated thousands of times, and there's the chaos of not knowing what it's going to look like when you suspend, you know, let's say 10 lengths of it. They're packed on tubes, rolled around tubes, as Nicola well knows, and we unroll them one by one and staple them to the ceiling. So I allowed that element of chance to come into the work. That, you know, there's lots of people installing it with me. I have a great team from Bava, from Sherkin Island, and other local artists who very kindly came and worked on it with me, and a fantastic technical team here at Uillinn. So I think there was maybe kind of between 3 and 6 of us at any one day working on it. So, you know, I didn't want to, I didn't want my role to be too much a director with it. I had quite kind of clearly in my mind mapped out the trailers and the space, but I wanted to allow chance to come into the piece. So, and if that chance became a little bit chaotic, that was okay too. I mean, this space here, I always wanted to kind of be the crescendo of the piece. That so ideally you start at the bottom of those stairs and you're kind of slowly led through the piece, and coming around that corner, I knew that this was the spot I wanted to kind of sock it to you, you know, to create a drama with that section. I couldn't not. The double height ceiling here, I could not use this space in that way. Yeah. Yeah.
The work changing, and you seeking that in terms of what's maybe it's kind of changed held down, which you changed it a little bit, and like there's room for it to change totally, and what's the expression do you not want that, or is that? I suppose I can see 3-4 strands that are intertwined.
Yes.
That's just a tiny cluster that's changed.
Yes.
Like with one person in space, interacting with it, they totally change the way it sits.
Yeah, tangling, yeah. Well, no, ideally we're untangling as it tangles. Yeah, talk about the why untangle. Yeah. Yes. Yes. Well, so it's kind of a practical thing to have the signs up saying please don't walk through it and touch it. Yeah. So it's not a piece that I have made for people to walk through. That might be an idea for a future piece. Kind of logistically, they tangle so quickly and easily and messily. It's not an option to purposefully have them tangled. You know what I mean? But the idea of it changing, I think, you know, light plays a real big part in how it can be seen. Like it's very different at night time, isn't it? With the artificial lights, it's a very different atmosphere, which I like an awful lot, and in the next iteration of it I'm planning to darken the space and use light and shadow a lot more. But it wasn't something that I thought was going to work in this space. I wanted to use the windows and the light and the natural light and you know, just what a fantastic architectural building to have the, you know, honour to install this piece in. For me, like, incredibly exciting. I actually can't think of another building, you know, offhand that I would be as excited about having this piece in. Does that answer? Yeah.
Subtlety and sensitivity, the way it changes, like it's taken there, sunlight on everything.
Yes.
But yeah, that's interesting. And how light and what the work change again with light.
Yeah. Yeah, it's different each time because it's very much responding to the physical building and the architecture of the building. And I mean, each time I'd like to be developing it. So actually thinking about sound to accompany it for the next time, yeah, at the moment. So, yeah, I mean, it's like life, you know, transforming and changing, like on a, you know, obviously more subtle nuanced level than life, but, and, you know, different for every person, like looking at any artwork, different for every person who walks through it, but, you know, that experience of time and space is something I was interested in with this for the viewer. Yeah.
I just make an observation rather than ask a question. My background is in dance and movement.
Yes.
So first of all, in terms of your space, I think it's amazing to be able the curvature of it, the journey through the space, because it's so architectural and linear and modern.
Yes.
The curvature for me, for some reason, and the movement of each individual strand.
Yeah.
And then the second thing I wanted to say was, it's like a reflection of the inside, the cellular consciousness or something.
Yeah.
And you spoke about the energetic body as well.
Yes.
So I just really sense in it the inner being formed in a very refined manner outside, you know, outside, so that relationship of the inside and the cellular aspect of the body.
Yeah.
So difficult to actually say what that is.
But
But
I agree, yeah.
fascinating.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, words are problematic sometimes when I talk about my work. And you know, for myself, I like to be able to articulate and then, you know, oftentimes I understand the work better after I've made it, so that's the time that I think can kind of almost put it in context with the rest of my work. But at a certain point, it's good to stop using words and just not shut it down, you know, keep it open.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. And you speak a lot about intuition as well, that really comes through. The intuitive, there's something in terms of even your choices of depth.
yeah.
And just incredible, thanks. Beautiful.
Thank you.
I think as well, the fact that you have that lovely softness that you were saying about that you do go with straight lines with building, you kind of went to a little bit in that lovely soft curves like you're softening life as well, because we need that kind of emotional awareness and to soften ourselves and be vulnerable in it as well. It's lovely, it's a very physical version of how we bring love or softness or vulnerability into the work. I was going to ask as well, having someone dealing with dancing in reaction to your work. I'd say that's a lovely honour as an artist, just for someone to come to you and say, is there any work done before collaboration with it must be such an honour when someone says, can I do that?
Oh, absolutely. Like there couldn't be more of an honour with this piece of work for me, so I was really excited when we first spoke about the exhibition that Anne said just how they might possibly be interested in making a response piece to it. So this piece I showed once before, like I said, in Galway Art Centre, and there was 3 elements to the exhibition. There was a series of paintings in the downstairs gallery, and the installation started at the entrance and went up the stairs in through 2 gallery rooms, and in the far room we showed a video. I did a collaborative project with the dance artist Uillinn, and that was very much about the correlation between drawing and dance. So I was working on that, you know, it's kind of an 18-month period where I was working on this piece alongside the collaboration with Uillinn, and on the paintings. So the 3 were kind of relating to each other in a number of different ways, and so it made a lot of sense for me to show this piece alongside the video piece, which was a performance that Uillinn and I choreographed through a landscape. So we had a room that we suspended and sculptural, three-dimensional drawings really and marks, and we choreographed a range of movements that responded to those objects. So for me it was very much about an exploration of the idea of dance, contemporary dance, as drawing in space, the trace of the movement of the body. I very much see it as a drawing, and so that was our initial conversation with myself and Deirdre. So the whole project was around that. She was very interested in drawing, and we began to explore things that we were both interested in our work: repetition, fragmentation, and this idea of time and space. How dance is ephemeral; once it's performed, it's gone. And I've kind of rambled, I'm not sure what my point is. Yeah, just to, I suppose, to speak about that project, which relates to this piece also, is good to do.
I think I'm amazed. It's actually amazing. You know what? It's thought-provoking. It's like you were saying with the hearts of all the people working together, and we're bringing all the different types of craft into the hotel. It's just it's something ongoing, and I think when you go away, not only will you see this beauty, but you'll also have more to process about how it connects with people, and I think it's wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Joanna, thanks so much. That was very eloquent. Very in for knowing more about your work and the whole process. Thank you very much. Thank you.